Okay, my name is Roger Martin, and what I'd like to do today is to show you how I rig eels. I was taught the technique of rigging eels by famous surf fisherman Al Bensten, who's recently passed away. So I will show you the Bensten method of rigging eels, or maybe the Benson-Martin method of rigging eels. There's many ways to do with this. Other fishermen have different techniques, but this is the one we used, and it's been successful over the years. First, I'd like to show you the material you need to assemble before you start rigging. First thing I'd like to bring your attention to is 50-pound test Dacron. This is good broad, or rather Cortland Dacron. Super glue, crazy glue, 5-minute epoxy, a rigging needle. You can get these in any tackle store, particularly that caters to offshore fishermen. They use these to rig ballyhoo and other kinds of offshore trolling baits. This is about 9 inches. That's what you need. Very cheap. Sewing store, get a heavy-duty upholstery type needle. Box of razor blades, single edge. A ruler or tape measure. You want to see how long your eel is. Rigging floss. It has to be pretty substantial. You don't want the very thin stuff. You want this as pretty thick. And this is about $7 or $8. It's the most expensive thing you have to get. Pliers, scissor, and a file to sharpen the hooks when you're done. You sharpen the hooks when you're done because if they're sharp going in, the end of rigging an eel, you'll have cuts all over your hand. And lastly, the guest of honor, an eel. I like to use eels that are around 16 to 18, 19 inches in length. You can use smaller eels, but I find that these are the best for me because I use a conventional rod and they give enough weight to cast. Okay. You have to prep your hooks. The hooks that we use are 9/0 VMC Siwash, or otherwise known as salmon hooks. They're the best. They're very sharp. They're very strong. You need 2 hooks to rig an eel. It comes with an open eye. You have to close it using a vise. The head hook I prep by using a brass nut size 8-32, which you can get any good hardware store or Lowe's or Home Depot. You slide the nut over the open eye of the head hook back about half an inch from the eye, and then you glue it in using 5-minute epoxy. You make a little mixture, and then you use a toothpick to put the epoxy all around this nut. You'll see a little later that the nut prevents the eel from sliding back on the shank of the hook when you cast. Okay, you begin first rigging the eel by taking your 50-pound test Dacron and cutting a piece that's about, probably 4 or 5 feet long. You take your rigging needle and put it through the eye of the rigging needle, and then tie a simple overhand knot in the Dacron, connecting the 2 ends. Put this in and pull it back so that the knot now is up by the needle, and you're getting this all nice and straight. You take your tail hook and tie a clinch knot. You find the vent of the eel and you slide your needle in the vent and run it up pretty close to the skin, all the way up into the head of the eel. Sometimes this is a little tricky, until it comes out the mouth. You see now it's coming right out. You slide this up. You may have to push that knot in. Then you push the hook in and pull it up. So now it looks like so. Then you can cut the needle off and just make sure that that the hook is positioned as so. Now you take your head hook. You want to figure out on the eel where the bend will come out. Just, you can see it like this. You want it to be something like this. So basically I want the hook, the point, to come out at this spot. You can mark it with a pencil. Makes a little bit of a dark mark. Slide the hook in, push it through, and there was what it looks like. If you'd like to come in for a close-up, you can see the brass nut in the eel's mouth, and I'll position it so that you can see what I do next. Basically push it back and make sure that this line that's being used to connect the tail hook isn't fouled up or is laying correctly. Okay, you can see the nut is now in the eel's mouth, and what I'm going to do is push the mouth over the nut and bring the tips of the eel's mouth just up to the eye of the hook. Now what I want to do is to make sure the tail hook isn't cinched way up in the eel or too far back. I don't want it too far back. So I pull it up a little bit so the bend of the hook is just coming out of the eel's vent, and then I pull the head hook back, as I said, so it's just sticking out. Now you take this and put it through the eye of the hook. That's the dacron. And just pull the eel back a little bit, and everything is fine. The tail hook looks good, the head hook looks good, and now I have to pinch it back, because now I'm going to tie in the head hook. I'm basically just tying the dacron from the tail hook into the eye of the head hook, so that if I get a fish on the tail hook, it's not going to pull out. Everything's going to be secured by its connection to the head hook.